We continue to run down the best players in the Big Ten right here at the Voice of College Football. Check out the videos on running backs and quarterbacks. Now we check out the wide receivers. For many of you, the most exciting players on the field. Let's keep in mind that Ohio State has signed 3 of the top 9 wide receivers in the country for 2023 to stack on top of the guys already on the roster in Brandon Inniss, Carnell Tate, and Noah Rogers. The other best wide receiver signed in 2023 goes to Nebraska, the 11th rated wide receiver in the country, according to 247 Sports, Malachi Coleman. Other guys worth mentioning here would be Caleb Brown, also out of Ohio State, as a top 75 player in his class, but he is transferred to Iowa after catching just 1 pass for the Buckeyes, but he could be the guy with the Iowa Hawkeyes. We've got Marcus Washington at Nebraska. Texas transfer, caught 31 balls last year, 471 yards and 1 touchdown. Biggest day to complete the season, 3 catches, 52 yards and a touchdown in the upset of Iowa. Keep in mind, Marcus Washington more in the spotlight with more targets now that Trey Palmer has moved on to the NFL. We also have Dante Cephas, who moves from Kent as one of the best wideouts in the MAC to Penn State. He had a huge year for the Golden Flashes 2 years ago with 82 receptions, 1,240 yards and 9 touchdowns. This past season, limited to 9 games, 48 catches for Kent State. Dante Cephas, honorable mention for the Penn State Nittany Lions. Malik McClain had 2 full seasons at Florida State. Now he is a Penn State Nittany Lion. McClain caught 33 passes for the Seminoles the past 2 seasons. Roman Wilson at Michigan, 25 catches, 376 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Had the big day in the playoff game against TCU. 5 catches, 104 yards, and a touchdown, and a would-be touchdown against the TCU Horned Frogs in the national semifinal. Trey Mosley of Michigan State now has more of a target on his back and more targets, period, that Keon Coleman has moved on to play football at Florida State. Trey Mosley, 35 catches in 2021 and in 2022, 7 total touchdowns. He had 6 catches against the Buckeyes of Ohio State this past season. Indiana's top receiver is back, Cam Camper, after catching 46 passes in just 7 games, 569 yards, 2 touchdowns, had huge days against Illinois, 11 for 156, and also Cincinnati, 10 catches for $126 for the Hoosiers of Indiana, still unsettled at quarterback. Xavier Johnson, an interesting player for Ohio State, seldom used, lightly regarded as a recruit, in-state prospect, signs with Ohio State, has had a long career with the Buckeyes, and again, bit of a gadget player, a bit of an interesting Curtis Samuel type player for the Buckeyes. Running back, yes. Wide receiver, yes. Not the number 1 guy at either position, but very handy, and he came in handy down the stretch against Michigan and Georgia, and you see the stats right there for Xavier Johnson. And finally, on our honorable mention list, we got Chimere Dike of Wisconsin, 47 catches for almost 700 yards and 6 touchdowns. He had 2 100-yard efforts. On to the top 10 in the Big Ten. Please share these videos out on social media. Not everyone knows that we're here talking college football every day with you. Best discussion, debate, and analysis. And of course, hit the like button, even if you don't agree with me. Number 10, wide receiver in the Big Ten, Caden Prather, West Virginia product. Played with the Mountaineers last year, picked up 52 catches despite playing in a bad quarterback situation with alternating quarterbacks and Garrett Green not necessarily the best at his position. 52 catches, 3 touchdowns. Big day against the Baylor Bears, 4-1. Caden Prather, 8 catches, 109 yards. And again, Caden Prather is going to benefit from Talia Tagovailoa's presence and also additional wideouts that will take the pressure off of him, where he was generally the guy at West Virginia. At number 9 in the Big Ten, we go to Michigan and Cornelius Johnson. Not the biggest numbers initially, 32 catches, 6 touchdowns, but whoa, ask Ohio State. He came up big in the game. 4 catches for $160 and 2 touchdowns against the Buckeyes. Burned their secondary and really made the difference in the game, catching the short hitch route on the sideline on a 3rd and long with a blitz on, and then juke the Buckeye defender to go all the way for the touchdown, and then again juke the other Ohio State defender in coverage in the slot, got him turned around and screwed into the ground, and was alone free for the touchdown reception against the Buckeyes. Against Cornelius Johnson, 32 catches, but 4 big ones against Ohio State. 92 catches career, 13 touchdowns. Our number 9 receiver in the Big Ten. There's no David Bell. There now is no Charlie Jones catching most of the passes at Purdue, so that leaves wide open TJ Sheffield. He's already been productive for the Boilermakers, but also no Aiden O'Connell. But Hudson Card, a good quarterback, maybe not with the arm talent of Aiden O'Connell, but TJ Sheffield in a good situation there at Purdue. 46 catches, 480 yards, 4 touchdowns last season, a couple touchdowns against Nebraska, and also one in the bowl game versus LSU. Our number 8 receiver in the Big Ten, TJ Sheffield, Purdue. On to number 7 at wide receiver in the Big Ten. We go to the run-heavy Illini of Illinois, and the numbers put up by one Isaiah Williams with Tommy DeVito at quarterback. He, like many of these players, is going to have to break in a new quarterback. Luke Altmaier, most likely the starter as the transfer from Ole Miss. Isaiah Williams caught 82 passes last year. 5 touchdowns, 2 of those against Michigan State. Big bowl game against Mississippi State. 10 receptions for $120. Isaiah Williams looking to match the numbers that he had last season and improve the yards per reception. Isaiah Williams, our number 7 wide receiver in the Big Ten. Our number 6 wide receiver in the conference has been around a long, long time. He has played along the side of Rashad Bateman and Tyler Johnson, and he has caught a ton of passes in his time. Not all at once, though. Chris Autman-Bell has been a steady hand for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, playing as a starter since 2018. Only played in 3 games in 2022, though. 125 catches in his career with 13 touchdowns, 5 100-yard games. Our number 6 wide receiver in the Big Ten, playing with a new quarterback this year, Chris Autman-Bell, Gophers. Penn State has produced some of the best wide receivers in the Big Ten in recent years, and they continue to have one move on each and every year. This past season, of course, it was Parker Washington. So taking his spot, Keandre Lambert-Smith, who caught 24 balls last year, 34 the season before. Lambert-Smith wrapped up his season with a big Rose Bowl as Penn State scored 35 against Utah, 3 catches for $124 against the Ute secondary, and a touchdown. Our number 5 wide receiver in the Big Ten, Keandre Lambert-Smith, Penn State. 4th-rated wide receiver in the Big Ten, we go to Maryland, where they churn out some top-notch wide receiver play. They move on some guys like Raheem Jarrett, and now they've got Jayshon Jones to pick up the slack, hopefully, for Talia Tagovailoa and company, as the Terps went from 7 wins to 8 and now look to break into the upper echelon of the Big Ten. Jones caught 44 balls last year with 4 touchdowns. Needs to do more against Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. Now, that probably has much more to do with, yes, the better secondary play, but more so than that is Talia Tagovailoa on his back or running from the pass rush. His biggest day in 2022 was against Rutgers, 9 catches for $152. Our number 4 wide receiver in the Big Ten is Jayshon Jones, Maryland. Our number 3 wide receiver in the Big Ten may not put up numbers that are going to match what you would think for the 3rd best wide receiver in the Big Ten, but this is not about statistics for me. So in none of these player rankings am I ranking or predicting how they're going to finish in regards to number of catches, touchdown receptions, yardage. No, these are the players I believe to be the best at the position, 1 through 10, 10 all the way down to number 1. So again, the numbers may not be there because of the targets, but he is Julian Fleming of Ohio State. Caught 6 touchdowns this past season. 34 receptions, 533 yards, showed up in the playoff game against Georgia with a touchdown, 5 catches for 71 yards. The former 5-star has been nagged by injuries, and he's been a slow starter at Ohio State. Of course, if you get hurt at Ohio State and you're playing the wide receiver position, well, there's virtually no catching up because they are layered with talent like no other program in the country at that position. So Julian Fleming has had an issue getting on the field, staying on the field because of the competition at the position, but also because of physical issues. However, he finally got on the field, stayed healthy for much of the season in 2022 and showed what he can do. Now he gets another shot, and we got Julian Fleming at number 3 in the Big Ten at wide receiver. Let's stay in Columbus, where the best wide receivers in college football hang out. Emeka Egbuka is one of those guys. He's on all the preseason All-America lists as one of the best in the business. 74 catches, 10 touchdowns, 6 100-yard games. He had a touchdown against Notre Dame, touchdowns against Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, 125 yards, Georgia, a touchdown and 112 yards. He showed up in all the best games. Excellent wide receiver, polished wide receiver. The number 2 in the conference is Emeka Egbuka, Ohio State. Now we move on to number 1, but we just need to stay put in scarlet and gray for number 3, number 2, and number 1, certainly. The best wide receiver in college football. The best most likely last year, despite not winning the Biletnikoff Award, Marvin Harrison Jr. He could start for a bunch of NFL teams right now. 77 catches, 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns, 7 100-yard games. Against Georgia, 5 catches for 106 and 2 touchdowns. And, of course, he didn't play the end of the third quarter or the fourth. Many Ohio State fans, college football fans, just flat out say, hey, he was the best player on the field. He got knocked out of the game. Ohio State would have won had he been in the game. We'll never know. It's not an argument. He got knocked out of the game, obviously, on the late hit or what could have been a late hit or a targeting in the back of the end zone where he couldn't hold on to the touchdown reception there. Marvin Harrison, phenomenal, and he's back at it. And again, from the time I saw him in the spring game, knowing his lineage, his father, of course, one of the great wide receivers in NFL history, a Hall of Famer, Indianapolis Colts, Syracuse, that I was like, okay, he already looks the part. He already can box out a defensive back. He's already got that Garrett Wilson look about him from a physical standpoint, plucks the ball out of the air. Marvin Harrison is elite. Creme de la creme, the number 1 wide receiver in the Big Ten is Marvin Harrison. Also at Ohio State, number 2, Emeka Egbuka. Number 3, Julian Fleming, the 4th best wide receiver in the Big Ten. Maryland's Jayshon Jones. At number 5, we got Keandre Lambert-Smith, Penn State. Number 6, Chris Autman-Bell, row the boat. 7, Isaiah Williams, Illinois. Number 8, TJ Sheffield, Boiler Up. Number 9, Cornelius Johnson, I won't say it, Michigan. Number 10, Caden Prather of the Maryland Terps, courtesy West Virginia. Our top 10 wide receivers in the Big Ten. Would love to hear your comments below. Where did we miss it? Who did we miss? We named like 25 guys. I don't think we missed any, but I'm sure you will have a different order for us. Leave your comments, your recommendations, your requests, and suggestions. And join us live. We go live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at least on the main channel with our call-in show. So give me a call. Let's talk college football right here at the Voice of College Football.